Hey everybody, you're listening to Dead Ideas, the podcast of extinct thoughts and practices. Today's Dead Idea, we're on part 4 of our epic series on the medieval Irish Geis, a kind of sacred personal rule that kills you. Last time, we meant to finish up our story time, but we were having so much fun that we actually just kept on recording. So here is even more for you. These are all stories from medieval Ireland involving, you guessed it, a geis. That's what we're talking about today on Dead Ideas. Okay, so we stopped the episode because that was just awesome, right? And we were at time, but then we started going into all the material that we didn't cover yet, and we were like, we should record this too.
Oh, good.
So this could be bonus content. I don't know what I'll make with this. Okay, everybody, just okay. If you need to go get some coffee and come back, that's fine. Okay, so I have 2 stories on board. Okay, the first one is about a satire poet. Okay,
Excellent.
and the second one is another story of Connla. All right, but first, the story about the satire poet is really short. So we'll just go ahead and go with that one, okay? And satire poets are so freaking cool because they have the power. They basically, okay, so honor was so important and reputation was so important in medieval Irish society that people were terrified of satire poets.
Yes.
You wanted to stay on their good side because if they started like basically a viral meme that would go around the town or the village about you, casting you in a negative light, you were done.
Right. And so I think that's often how we look at it now, but like the way it's depicted in the stories is like if they start reciting a satire about you, you could break out in boils, you could be physically maimed, you could die from being satirized.
Yeah,
so it's that like physical price of losing your honor.
Yeah, so it's nearly supernatural.
Right.
And if not supernatural, you have to interpret it as like a nocebo effect, which is the opposite of a placebo.
Right,
Your mind,
you're so ashamed that you go and have horrible things happen to you.
yeah, your mind it thinks something bad is going to happen, and so you actually physically break out in blisters or whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the story of Cair and Nede. Okay, so it starts with a classic love triangle. Okay, King Cair, the king of Connacht, which if you go to our website, deadideas.net, or Facebook page, we've got a map made by Adam McKithern, thank you, where it shows Connacht is in the west, in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the kingdoms of Ireland. So Cair, king of Connacht, loves his queen. And we don't get a name for the queen. I don't know. It's just a tiny, short little story. They don't give a lot of details. It's actually a story inserted into a glossary as a footnote, so it's super tiny. But anyway, Cair loves his queen, but his queen loves the satire poet Nede. And so she wants to get it on. She initiates, she goes up to him, and she's like, hey, what do you think? you me, yeah. And Neda's like, are you crazy? You're the wife of the king, yeah. So she's like, yeah, but you know. He's like, no, I don't want to die, right? So she's like, but I will promise you the throne if you will go into me. And that's the words that
if you will go into me.
Yeah, that's the words. Yeah.
And I love like these stories are always so blunt about the sexual stuff, and I feel like that must have been how they spoke at some point in early Ireland, because like in a whole other story, like Queen Mev sends like an emissary to somebody she wants him to give her something, and she tells her emissary like, first just offer him the money in this much land. If he still doesn't want to go for it, then say I'll also just give him the company of my thighs. You know?
Yeah, it's very blatant.
Right.
Yeah. So it's straight out there.
Right.
Okay, so she's like, I'll get you on the throne if you just, sleep with me, right? He's like, well, yeah, but how are we going to do that? So she starts her conniving. So she knows that he's a satire poet, right? Satire poets have the power to make you super embarrassed, like we said, by making a public satire of you, okay? And as we said, so much so that you might break out in blisters. Now, a little thing about kingship in ancient Ireland is a king cannot have a blemish of any kind. You can't be missing an eye, you can't be missing a hand, and apparently, you have to be kind of like whole and intact, otherwise it's like bad luck for the land or something, I don't know. Like the land will be equally, whatever.
You must be a reflection of the purity of sovereignty and all
Exactly.
This.
Yeah. So apparently even blisters will be perhaps bad enough to trigger this, like, you can't be king anymore. So they know that if he satires the king, and the king breaks out in blisters, he can't be king anymore. Therefore, he can marry her, and therefore he'll be on the throne.
Right.
Okay?
Which, fun fact, like, kingship would not infrequently pass that way in ancient Europe. Like, especially in the early medieval period, like, if the old king died, whoever would marry the queen, his like, left-behind widow, would be the next king. And there was a lot of other stuff going into it, like, you know, would the warriors approve of that, and were you a badass guy, and all kinds of stuff. But there was frequently, like, kingship was transmitted through the queen to the next person that she partnered with.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the thing. Satires were kind of like geisha, where you can't just do it casually. It has to be justified.
Yeah.
It has to be socially justified. So you can't just satire because he wants to. It's not just free speech.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You're taking some actual injustice or dishonor that the person has done, and then you're using that to make the satire.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have to somehow manipulate the situation such that the king will violate hospitality or something, so that Nede will be justified in doing a satire on him. Okay? All right. So she's got an ace up her sleeve. She's like, all right, I know that King Cair has this particular dagger that came to him from Scotland, and he has a geisha on him that he must not hand this dagger over to anyone. He must always keep it himself. He cannot give it away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very particular gauge.
Yes, yes. So, at that point, all the pieces of their plan have fallen into place. But I'm going to fast forward to actually it coming off, right?
Great.
They're launching their plot, right? So there must be some kind of public assembly of some kind, a feast, I don't know what. The details aren't there in the story. It's super short, right? But imagine it was a public feast or something. So in front of everybody, Nede asks King Cair for his knife. And my inference is that it must have been some situation where he was owed something, perhaps for a song that he did for him or something, such that it would be a violation of hospitality or of social mores for him to refuse to give him the dagger.
It's sort of like, name anything in my kingdom that's in my power to give you, and I will give it to you.
Exactly.
No!
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So at that point, the king is in a bind. Okay? So he can either hand over the dagger and violate the geis, but keep his honor in terms of hospitality, or he can violate the hospitality to keep the geis, but suffer that dishonor, right? So the king makes the bad choice. He makes a bad choice and decides to go with the geis, which in the geis stories, a lot of times, it's almost like it's right for you to violate the geis if doing so would allow you to keep a higher honor, especially a social honor, rather than sort of like a personal private
Like it's better
thing.
to do the honorable thing and break the gauge?
Yes, if it's like a personal private geis that doesn't affect like your kin and everybody else.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so in this case it was one of those. He's just got a dagger he's supposed to keep.
Right.
He makes the wrong decision, and he refuses to give over the dagger. And
He's essentially choosing his own life over doing the like generous, hospitable,
doing the right thing.
Right.
He chooses his life over doing the right thing.
And you just hear the kingometer in the background go.
Exactly. Yeah. And then at that point, Neda's like, aha, I got him. Okay? So he launches his satire. And I actually have the text of the satire here.
Oh, can you do it?
I'm going to read it.
Great.
And it's very short. And there's, even among like only 4 lines, there's ellipses of places that we don't have. So that sucks.
Right.
But it's kind of neat to see what a satire counted as back then. Because it's really weird.
Right.
Okay, so here's the satire that he says. Evil, death, short life to Cair. Let spears of battle wound him. Cair. Cair, ellipsis. Cair, ellipsis. Cair under earth, under ramparts, under stones be Cair.
This is the badass, like, mic drop satire.
Which was really kind of surprising to me, because it has nothing to do with actual Cair. He's just saying, Cair sucks.
I want bad things to happen to you.
He could have stopped there.
Right. So a fun fact about this, so I can tell from the ellipses that in its original Irish, this would have been a type of poetry called the rosk. And rosk is like an old Irish form of poetry where almost every word in the poem is a word that has like multiple meanings. And so oftentimes when this is translated to English, the translator will just leave the poem untranslated. They'll just do one line of it and put ...
Okay.
Because it's almost not translatable. Like if you literally translated it, it would be things like, I brush my hand on the elbow of the wife of the water god until I find the silver bracelet. And you're like, what does that mean? You know? But then if you look at all the individual words, what they're saying is like, I'm walking along the river Boyne, which is the river that's dedicated to the goddess Boan, who is the wife of Necton, the god of wells, until I come to the Bruna Boan, this house that is her treasure. You know, that's what that would mean. Right.
Yeah, so it's a double
like,
entendre.
Exactly. So like even in Old Irish, you would be able to speak in Rosk, and like uneducated people or people who don't know exactly what you're talking about would have no clue what you're saying. It's like a code. Yeah. But other people who are either trained as druids or they're in on whatever topic you're talking about, they would get exactly what you mean. So it makes no sense in English. So that's probably why they just did ... There's probably some weird badass stuff in there.
So in other words, it's way cooler than we have access to.
Probably. Like the Under Earth comment. Much cleverer. Like I love how they're like Kyre Under Earth, which just sounds like I want you to be buried dead, but that could mean something like really deep and crappy for Kyre. I don't know. Yeah. And
probably somebody at this public feast would
have been like,
know what that means. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so he launches the satire at him.
Great.
Kyre, predictably, is deeply, deeply embarrassed, and the blisters arise on his face, and he is therefore blemished, can no longer be king, and he runs away in embarrassment. And so the plan works. It works. He runs away. He's just like fled to some like, I don't know, shed somewhere off in the countryside where nobody can find him because he's so embarrassed, right? And then Nede is able to marry the queen, and you know they get it on. She gets what she wants. Wow. He gets the throne, and it works. But as you said, almost every Irish story has a tragic ending, right? Well, here it comes. So Nede feels remorse. He's like, oh, well, I'm king now. That's good, but I kind of feel bad about how I got it, right? So he's like, okay, I'm going to go and find Kyre and basically at least check in on him, see how he's doing, right? And so he tracks him down, and he finds him living in this kind of fort somewhere. And was about to, like, you know, inquire, like, hey, buddy, long time no see, you know? Like, we good? But Kyre sees him and is so embarrassed that he falls dead upon seeing him. Yeah, he's that embarrassed.
Wow, like the aftershock of the satire just did him in as soon as the Satire-poet walks in.
He's like, no. But when he falls on a stone that supernaturally, like, becomes super hot and shatters. And one of the shards hits Nede in the head and kills him too. And that is the tragic ending of this Satire-poet story.
Everybody dies.
Yeah, everybody dies.
Rocks explode and everyone dies. Except the queen.
The queen wins.
She's like back there taking the next lover. Like, who else wants to be king? They're like, Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so that's the Satire-poet. And then I've got one last story. Okay, and this one's a good one.
Great.
Okay, there's some meat to this. So this is going to go on for a while. You might want to get that coffee now. Okay? All right, so this story comes from the Toin Boqualny, or Cattle Raid of Cooley.
Toin Boqualny.
One more time?
Toin Boqualny.
What he said. Right. This one, again, is about the hero Cuchulainn, like we heard in episode 1. Okay? And this story has it all. Okay? It's got love, it's got battle, it's got tragedy. And true to the spirit of Irish heroic literature, the tragic ending is brought about by Geisha. Yes, okay? And it's just a small part of the story, but it's going to be a good part. I like this part. By the way, I should also add that the portrayal of gender, if you haven't already realized this by now, it's going to be, shall we say, interesting.
So we don't endorse
we don't
patriarchal, sexist, right.
We just spread it. We don't endorse it.
We just transmit it.
Not our fault. Okay, so it begins. It begins with Cuchulainn, who has his eye on a certain girl. Ooh. So we're going to go to the Kinsella translation here. Right. Okay, so Cuchulainn himself went to a place called the Gardens of Lugh.
Hmm.
Luglochta Logo. No idea if that's pronounced correctly or
That's
not.
right.
To woo a girl he knew there. Her name was Ever.
Ooh.
And she was the daughter of Forgal Monarch, the Cunning. Cuchulainn and his charioteer Leg MacRangabra
Yes.
set out.
How's the first name? It's like Lave?
Laeg.
Oh, Leg. Oh, yeah. Leg.
Okay.
Or Log. Who
All right.
knows? Yeah.
All right, so he's Lag from now on.
He's a really cool character, too, but I'll let you continue.
Okay. Cuchulainn and his charioteer Lag set out. No other chariot team in Ulster, horses or warriors, could touch that chariot, with those warriors in it, for fire and speed. Cuchulainn went up to the girl. She was out on the green with her foster sisters, the daughters of landowners who lived around Forgal's fort. They were studying embroidery and fine stitching with Ever.
Oh, educated girls.
Mm-hmm. Cuchulainn greeted the troop of girls. Like, hey, how you doing?
Rolls up in his low riding chariot.
Turns off the bass so he can hear.
He's literally got a bard in the chariot doing the bass on a drum.
He greets the troop of girls, and Ever lifted up her lovely face. She recognized Cuchulainn and said, "May your road be blessed. May the apple of your eye see only good," he said. Then they spoke together in riddles.
In riddles.
Yes. And this is one of my favorite parts.
It's one of mine, too. It's great.
Okay. Cuchulainn caught sight of the girl's breasts over the top of her dress.
The cleavage moment.
And he says, "I see a sweet country," he said. "I could rest my weapon there." Deep riddles. No one knows what they're talking about. Ever answered him by saying, "No man will travel this country until he has killed 100 men at every ford from Senmen Ford on the river Albine to Banchwing, the woman yoke that can hold up 100, where the frothy Brea makes Fedelm leap. In that sweet country I'll rest my weapon," Cuchulainn says. So he's just like, I'm going to do that.
No, I'll be there.
Yeah.
How many hundreds of guys? I got this.
Yeah, got it. "No man will travel this country," she said, "until he has done the feat of the salmon leap, carrying twice his weight in gold, and struck down 3 groups of 9 men with a single stroke, leaving the middle man of each 9 unharmed."
So this relates to feats, which as a big thing in the old Irish sagas, there were certain really difficult to do displays of power. Most of them useless in battle, but they just looked really badass.
Also a big thing in Dungeons & Dragons 3.5.
Also a lot more useful there. And the salmon leap, it's like when you see salmon leaping up a waterfall to go upstream to the breeding ground, it's like that. I picture the guy springing up and puffing his chest out to snap his body up higher. So it's this really high jump where you're supposed to be able to jump from the ground up to a tree branch or the wall of a ring fort or something like that. So that's what she's saying. You have to be able to do that and kill 3 groups of 9 men?
Yeah.
With 1 spear?
And struck down 3 groups of 9 men with a single stroke, leaving the middle man of each 9 unharmed.
Wow, these pennies don't drop easy. I'm sorry.
But he's not deterred. He says, "In that sweet country, I'll rest my weapon," Cuchulainn said. "No man will travel this country," she says, "who hasn't gone sleepless from Samhain," which is
November 1st.
November. Yeah, it's a November holiday.
Right.
The New Year of the Celtic calendar.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. When the summer goes to its rest until Imbolc, which is early spring, February. Yeah. When the ewes are milked at spring's beginning, from Imbolc to Beltane. Beltane, okay, which is early summer.
Yeah, May Day.
At the summer's beginning, and from Beltane to Brontrogan, earth's sorrowing autumn. That's the only one I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
But a harvest, yeah. Okay. All right.
So that's you have to go sleepless for 3 months at a time. You get 1 night of sleep in the holidays. Is that the deal?
Hasn't gone sleepless from Samhain until Imbolc. And from Imbolc to Beltane. It's a whole year.
That's how I would interpret it. I feel like you get that 1 night of rest in the holidays.
I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
So he's like, I got this. He literally says, "It is said and done." I'll be back in a sec.
He's writing this down. He's like, "Leg, are you getting notes on this? This is going to be tricky."
Okay. So then, to summarize and speed along. So Cuchulainn says he's got this, right?
Right.
However, Ever's father, Forgal, won't consent to like any of this.
Right.
Even if he does manage to get all this crazy stuff done, there's no way that he's going to consent to this marriage.
Right.
Okay? But Cuchulainn's like, no, I'm going to do this. Right? So he has to basically prove himself first. He has to win over the father. So this is like Meet the Fockers a little bit here.
Meet the Forgal in this case.
Meet the Forgal. Yeah, Meet the Forgal. Okay, so first he has to become this badass warrior who can do all this stuff.
Right.
Because
he's
not
like, check.
Well, not yet, but he's gonna.
Right.
Okay, and this is where a lot of this story comes in now. Okay, this is how he gets his powers and what happens during that time that sets up everything else, the ending. Okay, so he goes to Scotland because he hears that he should train with this really badass warrior. Yes. Who is not just any warrior, but a woman warrior. Yes. And how do you pronounce her name? Skahak.
It means the shadowy one.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, so Skahak. So here's about Skahak, and like everybody's like, you should go train with her. She's really good. But while there is a great battle between Skahak and her rival, Aoife.
Yes, Aoife.
Yes, okay. Who's also a badass warrior woman. Yeah,
it's like Xena versus evil Xena. Like, neither one's evil, they're just like rivals.
They're just rivals, yeah. Okay, and Skahak is worried because this Aoife has a reputation for being, and this is how it appears, the words in Kinsella's translation, the hardest warrior woman in the world.
Nice. Which, fun fact, by the way, even in other parts of the Twain, it actually specifies that there are like some swords that have a special grip for a woman's smaller hand.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's like a whole style of sword that's like quote-unquote a woman's sword. I don't know if that's something that's been verified by archaeologists, but in the stories they're like, oh yeah, that kind of sword, the kind with the women's grip.
It's also got like little cell phone toys hanging off of it that are like Hello Kitty.
Now who's transmitting the patriarchy, Brandon?
Hey.
He's spending too much time with those Irish myths, come on.
All right, okay, so Skazak is worried because this Aoife has this reputation, right? So the two armies line up. And then they do this common thing in ancient warfare that Andre actually told us about in the first episode when he's talking about honor, where armies don't really want to fight and kill each other. They just kind of want to intimidate the other into going away. So first two champions will come out, okay? And so this is where it kind of turns into Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Yes. You know, like 2 men enter, 1 man leaves kind of a thing. But in this case, it's not men, or at least not for the challenge. Aoife challenges Skazak to come out and fight, right, between the armies, and everybody's going to watch him fight. But Cuchulainn volunteers to be Skazak's champion.
Yes.
So Cuchulainn is going to fight Aoife instead, okay? But he's got to find his angle first, because she's the hardest woman warrior in the world, right? So, okay, now I'm going to go back to Kinsella's translation. Aoife challenged Skazak to single combat. Cuchulainn went up to Skazak and asked her, what Aoife held most dear above all else? Okay, this is how he's getting his angle, right? Okay. And Skazak replies, the things she holds most dear are her 2 horses, her chariot, and her charioteer. Okay. Cuchulainn met and fought Aoife on the rope of feats. So I imagine this is some kind of, it's like a tightrope or something they have to...
This is another feat, is like walking the tightrope, so they are actually fighting on a tightrope.
On a tightrope. Yes. This would make a great movie.
I would love to make this movie.
Yeah, okay. Aoife smashed Cuchulainn's weapon. All she left him was a part of his sword no bigger than a fist. Ooh, not a good start,
Bit of a
right?
problem.
Yeah. Then Cuchulainn says, look! Oh, look! He pulls the trick where he's like, look over there. And then he says, Aoife's charioteer and her 2 horses and the chariot have fallen into the valley. They're all dead.
Like they fell off the cliff that the tightrope's over?
But he's just saying, hey, look, this happened.
Check
right?
it out,
to make her look, right? Aoife looked round, and then Cuchulainn leapt at her and seized her by the 2 breasts.
Yes. Yep.
He took her on his back like a sack and brought her back to his own army. He threw her heavily to the ground and held a naked sword over her. A life for a life, Cuchulainn, Aoife says. So she's begging for mercy, right? And he says, grant me 3 desires. Aoife says, what you can ask in 1 breath, you may have. Okay.
He's like...
So he says, my 3 desires are hostages for Skazak, which is a way of ensuring peace. Because you've got some of theirs they've got some of yours.
Right.
Nobody will attack each other because otherwise you'll kill each other's hostages.
Exactly.
Okay.
So first of all, he's looking out for his
Yes.
lady teacher here.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay. And never attack her again.
Beautiful.
Second desire, your company tonight at your own fort.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yes. And third desire, bear me a son.
Great.
Presumably from the company at the fort.
Right. Yeah. We'll have as much fort time as we need, but we need to have a son.
Yeah. Okay. And she says, I grant all you ask. So she's like, oh, okay. That doesn't sound so bad. So Cuchulainn went and slept the night with Aoife. Soon Aoife said she was with child and would bear a boy.
I like that she knows. She's like, oh, definitely a boy. Yeah. Now get out of my fort.
Yeah. Then she says, this day 7 years I will send him to Ireland, but leave a name for him. Okay, so she's like, okay, 7 years from now, he's gonna be your problem. Okay, but you gotta name this kid before you go. Okay,
Nice.
My baby daddy here.
Right.
At least you gotta do this
before you go back and woo the other woman you're interested in.
Right. Yeah. So Cuchulainn left him a gold thumb ring, and told her the boy was to come to Ireland to find him when his father had grown to fit the ring.
When you must be this tall.
You must be this tall to ride this.
Exactly.
Yeah. The name he gave for him was Connla.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Do I have a CH at the end?
Connla here.
Oh, Connla. Okay, cool.
Okay, Connla. And now Kinsella doesn't make this explicit here, but everything else that I read about this part is Cullen's actually placing Geis on this child here.
Yes.
So all of these expectations that he says he's placing on, it's like actually Geis for the child. Okay.
I agree.
So he said Connla was to reveal his name to no man, and that he must make way for no man.
Yep.
Okay. And refuse no man combat. So those are the three geisha that he lays on him.
And I love that these are like very honorable sounding. Like, okay, so you're not going to give your name to anybody. You're not going to ever like step out anybody's way. You know, you never step aside for any man, and you're never going to turn down a fight. Like that sounds like so badass.
Right.
Like what could go wrong with this? He'll grow up to be a great
What
warrior.
could possibly go wrong?
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're going to find out. Yeah. Okay. So now speeding along. Okay. So then Cuchulainn goes back to Ireland to win the hand of Ever, because that's who he really cares about.
Right, yeah.
Mainly because of her sweet country. But but I actually, in this context, considering what marriage meant at the time in medieval Ireland and all the economic benefits you get from it, I could actually believe that when he's, talking about vast tracts of land, he might actually mean vast tracts of land.
True.
Yeah. So he's okay. So the affair with Aoife, of course, was just a one-night stand after all. So he wants to get a real marriage going here. But instead of simply asking the father to reconsider him now that he has all this training, he lays siege to the father's fort.
I'm back!
And in truly heroic fashion, kills a shitload of people and does everything that she prophesied that he would have to do in order to enjoy this sweet country, including the salmon leap and everything else.
Does he leap right up on the fort wall?
There's a whole scene, yes.
Because I remember she had nine. She had three. There were 3 groups of 9. Yep. Okay, so just to clarify this, so it's not just like she gave these made up numbers, 3 groups of 9 men, and then for some reason they're like, let's put 3 groups of 9 men on the walls. So just to put in perspective, the ancient Irish warriors supposedly, in one of the tracts somewhere, it says that would be like a squadron. You have 3 platoons of 9 guys and they form a squadron. So the idea of 3 groups of 9 men, she didn't just make that up. She actually pulled that from somewhere. We typically have 3 groups of 9 men guarding the place. That's how many you have to kill, etc.
Believable.
So just to give you some context on that.
Or there might have been some poetic license going on.
Probably a little bit, because that's also a special number. The ancient Irish is 27, but yes. But supposedly they would use, because it would be one leader over 8 men, 4 groups of 2. So that's 8 underlings and then the leader in the middle. Okay. And then 3 of those together was a squadron, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, all of those things that she said he would have to do in order to win her over, he manages to do in the process of taking this fort. Okay. In the process, also, the father, Forgal, falls from the ramparts and dies, so he's not a problem anymore either. And finally he makes off with Ever and they get married.
Right.
Okay?
Great.
Yeah.
It's a perfect love story.
Yeah.
So a little less romantic than Jarmusch and Grania, but you know,
a little,
it's also shorter.
a little more.
It takes 16 years.
Well, but that's not the end of the story.
Great.
The marriage has an interesting little interlude involving prima nocte, which, if you remember your Braveheart, is like the Lord's right to deflower the bride on her wedding night.
Right.
And
and this, as far as I can tell from reading these stories, this was specifically a right of King Conor of Northern Ireland, of Ulster. Like, it wasn't, I don't think it was normal that all kings or lords would do this.
Okay.
It was generally frowned upon, but for some reason King Conor had this privilege of sleeping with the bride on the first night.
Okay. Okay. But he knows that Cuchulainn is this badass frickin' warrior, right? So he's afraid that Cuchulainn is going to get jealous if he exercises his right.
Seems reasonable.
But he's also afraid that if he doesn't exercise his right, the people of his kingdom are going to see that he's soft. Yeah, he's soft, right? So he's like stuck. So his druid, Cathbad, comes up with this plan where, yes, he is going to sleep in the same bed with Ever that night, but the druid and one other guy will sleep between them. Right. So they've got
it's like chastity guards. Yeah. Right. So basically King Conor gets the benefit of saying, like, I exercise my right, I'm not soft, and Cuchulainn has assurance that she was not touched the whole night. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I like that. Yeah. So it actually works out. After that, Cuchulainn and Ever live on as husband and wife, but it's not happily ever after because we're still not done with the story. Right. There's a certain little boy who we saw at the beginning. I'm just like my dad.
So years later, after all of this, who comes a-knockin' but this boy, who is just old enough to be you-know-who, right? And this boy also just happens to be a very precocious warrior.
Not unlike his father.
Yes. Yeah. Right? And so he's causing all kinds of ruckus on the seashore, where his boat kind of rolls up.
Yeah, because I think that they have like men from Ulster who watch the shore for invasions, and this boat just shows up, and they're like, "What the heck are you? Like, what are you doing here?
Who are you?
Who are you?"
And he won't say his name.
Well, I don't have one. I'll tell you.
And you have to imagine in an honor-based society where reputation is everything. Yeah. What you want to know is, who is this person you're fighting? Because if you don't know that, it's just a wild card. You don't know. Right. It's not a known quantity.
Who are they? Who's their family? What's their reputation? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and can you also imagine like this 40-year-old grizzled veteran warrior who's on seacoast watch duty and who's used to getting some respect, and a 7-year-old kid shows up in a rowboat and he's like, "I'm not telling you my name. Get out of my way."
Do you think he was really 7 years old? Because she said 7 years hence she'll send him to Ireland. But
and then you got the rule with the but the other thing is if he's precocious like his dad got arms at age 7. So
that's true.
Let's say 7 to 10, somewhere in there. I don't know.
Okay, so his balls have barely dropped.
Oh yeah.
But he's already causing trouble on the seashore. And the king gets word of this, and he's like, he has to do something about it. Right. Okay. But this little boy just whips the crap out of his warriors.
Oh, so he's been beating warriors down at the shore?
Yeah.
Beach fight! Okay, great.
Yeah. So then it comes time for the king to send in the big guns. It's Colin's turn to fight him.
Get over there and secure my coast.
Yes. Right. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the Kinsella translation for the final segment of this story here.
Beautiful.
Then Cuchulainn advanced on the boy, performing his feats as he came. So he's doing a salmon leap or something as he's
Yeah, so that was a way of showing off how badass you were. Okay. It's almost like the scene in a martial art, a kung fu movie where it's like you do all this fancy stuff. Yeah. So he might be tossing a spear up and catching it by its point or all kinds of stuff.
Because again, you don't want to fight if you can just intimidate your opponent into running away.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, so he advances on the boy, performing his feats. Then Forgal's daughter, Ever, had her arm round his neck, Cuchulainn's neck.
Wait, so she's macking on him while he's performing his feats. He
hasn't
even got out of the gold-plated chariot yet.
She must have showed up to watch it all go down.
She's got popcorn.
But she's she grabs him by the neck, right? And she says, "Don't go down." She says it to Cuchulainn. "Don't go down. It is your own son there. Don't murder your son. The wild and well-born son, let him be. Is it good or wise for you to fall on your marvelous son of the mighty axe? Remember Scathach's strict warning, and turn from this flesh agony, this twig from your tree. If Connla has dared us, he has justified it. Turn back, hear me. My restraint is reason, Cuchulainn, hear it. We know his name. If he is really Connla, the boy is Aoife's own son.
Damn.
Yeah. So
I like
she's
this twig from a tree line, too. I can picture the kid down the water like, hey, no twig from a tree! I am the tree! Come get it, bitch!
Yeah, nobody's fooling anybody here. Like, she's like,
She
dude,
knows, yeah.
come on. This is your son.
She probably takes one look at him. She's like, oh, what a dick. He's obviously your son, you know?
Yeah, right. He's got your eyes. But Cuchulainn is in a bind once again, right? It's his duty to do this.
Right. The king told him, go and take care of this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Then Cuchulainn said, be quiet, wife.
Wow. I feel like there's a million Wiccans right now who are like, no, the Celts are like matriarchal.
It gets worse.
Right.
Okay. Be quiet, wife. It isn't a woman that I need now to hold me back in the face of these feats and shining triumph. I want no woman's help with my work. Victorious deeds are what we need to fill the eyes of a great king. The blood of Connla's body will flush my skin with power. Little spear so fine to be finely sucked by my own spears.
Whoa.
Ooh. So he's admitting, even
he's like, oh, this is Connla, and I'm taking him down.
Yeah.
Wow.
He knows it's his son.
Right.
But he's stuck because he's honor bound to do this. And he's like, well, if little shit's gonna play, then we're gonna play, right?
Yeah.
Take the boxing gloves off, you know?
Wow.
No matter who he is, wife, Cuchulainn said, I must kill him for the honor of Ulster.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
So he went down to meet him. Those were pretty games, boy, he says. And the boy replies back, prettier than the games I'm finding here.
Yeah!
2 of you have come down here, and still I haven't named myself. So he's like, I'm getting away
they're like
with
trying
it.
to beat the name out of him, and he's just kicking everybody's butt.
You're like, yeah, you haven't forced it out of me yet. Cuchulainn says, maybe you were meant to meet me. Name yourself, or you die. So be it, the boy says.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And the boy set upon him, and they struck at one another. The boy cut him bald-headed with the sword, in the stroke of precision.
Like he cut his hair off?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like another feat
That's
that's
a feat,
like,
yeah,
shoot,
the stroke of
and,
precision.
yeah,
right.
and like just cuts him bald.
Just to let you know, like how I could have hit you if I wanted to, but
Exactly. It's a shot across the bow.
Right.
Yes. The joking has come to a head, Cuchulainn said. And I don't know if that was actually a pun in the Irish. Come to a head.
Come to a head. Nice.
But, okay.
What
Now
do you
we'll
like,
wrestle, he says. Okay. I can't reach up to your belt, the boy said. So I guess he's that short.
He's little, yeah. He's a little kid.
Uh-huh. So he climbed onto 2 standing stones so that he could wrestle him, right? Without moving a foot, he thrust Cuchulainn 3 times between the 2 stones.
Ooh.
His feet sank in the stone up to the ankle.
It's like that's how hard he's hitting it. He just
Okay. He hit him, yeah. So this is like jackhammer blow.
Yeah.
The marks of his feet are still there, which is why the people of Ulster call it Traig, or Tracht, Essie, the strand of the mark. Okay, so that's a just so little story in there.
So Tracht means like beach or strand in
Okay.
Irish, so like Tracht Essie must mean the beach of the marks.
Okay. They went down into the sea to drown each other, and the boy submerged him twice. Then Cuchulainn turned and played the boy foul in the water with the gay bolga, which is another feat.
This is a crazy feat, and so this is like a lot of these feats that are being mentioned here.
Uh-huh.
A lot of warriors, like a lot of the best warriors, would have learned how to do them.
Uh-huh.
So like it's not just Cuchulainn or just his son who know how to do them, but the gay bolga is gay bolga, I should say, is like a feat that supposedly only Cuchulainn mastered.
Okay.
And people are unclear, like scholars are unclear on like what exactly it was, but our best guess is that it was something like, if you can picture a blacksmith's bellows, you know, like you use to pump air into a blacksmith's fire.
Okay.
Put that underwater
Uh-huh.
and like fill it with water.
Okay.
And then you load a spear
making a
into
squirt
it.
gun?
You're making a torpedo.
Okay.
You load a spear into it because the bellows are full of water.
Okay.
And when you step on it, the force of the bellows closing thrusts the spear out, and it goes skimming across the water right at belly level if 2 guys are standing in the water fighting.
Oh, wow.
So it's called gay bolga, means the gut spear. And so you launch it from underwater, so you can't see it until it's coming. And when you step on it, it launches with the force of like a hydraulic torpedo, skips across the water, and ruptures into the belly of whoever it hits.
So it's the U-boat maneuver.
It's like a U-boat thing, and this is the best part, is that there's something about the head of the spear. It's not just it cuts into you, it has like a million barbs on it, so that once it cuts in, you're loaded with fish hooks, basically. So taking it out is, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So if it hits him, he's going to be a goner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
yeah, that's amazing, because I only heard about it before as just being like a spear that you somehow throw with your foot.
Right, yeah. You
but
probably step on it and it launches it.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay.
He uses it one other time in the Toyn Bokolni also, which is when when Cuchulainn kills his own foster brother, because they are forced to fight because they're on opposite sides of the conflict, and they fight for 3 days, and there's no clear winner, and they love each other. Like at night, Cuchulainn sends him medicine because he has better doctors, and his foster brother sends him food because he has a whole army giving him food. They help each other, but by day they have to fight in single combat, and that's how he finishes off his brothers with the gut spear.
Wow,
yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, yeah. Okay. So the boy and Cuchulainn, right, are fighting in the water. And Cuchulainn plays him foul with the U-boat maneuver. He torpedoes him.
Right.
Okay. He sent it speeding over the water at him and brought his bowels down around his feet. Yeah. So it hits home, and he's just disemboweled by this barbed spear.
Right.
There is something Skathach didn't teach me, the boy said.
Oh.
He's like, there is something that Skathach didn't teach me.
Oh.
You have wounded me woefully. I have, Colin says. That's your reply.
Colin just likes that on Facebook. Like, yes, I have wounded you woefully.
Then he took the boy in his arms and carried him away from the place and brought him and laid him down before the people of Ulster. My son, men of Ulster, he said, here you are. Now, I want to read that with some tragic, like he's got a little tear, at least, down his, cheek, being like, here, I've done my honor to you.
Exactly.
Screw you. You made me kill my own boy.
Right.
And here you go.
Yeah. And also, I think, a certain note of grim triumph, of like, I will do anything to prove that I am the honorable, the hero, the star of this saga. Yeah. I will never break my word. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alas, said all the people of Ulster. It is the truth, the boy said. Oh, he's still alive.
Oh, yeah. Still down
here. he pops up. he's got sausages coming out of his belly, but yeah,
it's okay.
He's
give me the chariot.
It is the truth, the boy said. If only I had 5 years among you, I would slaughter the warriors of the world for you. You would rule as far as Rome. But since it is like this, point me out the famous men around me. I would like to salute them.
Wow.
And then he put his arms round the neck of each man in turn and saluted his father, and then died.
Wow.
Then a loud lament was uttered for him. His grave was made and the gravestone set. For the space of 3 days and nights, no calf in Ulster was let go to its cow on account of his death.
They're like starving the calves.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the story of Cuchulainn and his son Connla.
That's
the tragic ending.
Yeah.
So he lays the geshes upon him that basically initiate why he has to kill him in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
I also wonder, I mean, giving it some context, like I know that at another point in the Toyn Bokolni, Cuchulainn's own father comes to him, and Cuchulainn's father is the god Lu, who's like the god of heroes, basically. And he comes to him when Cuchulainn is badly wounded and trying to hold off a whole army single-handedly, and he says, let's fight together. And Cuchulainn is like, no, because if we fight together, you'll get half the glory, and I don't want to be second to anyone. And so he's like, okay, well then I'll just heal your wounds and help you, and you can go fight on your own. And I sort of wonder, too, because his son was obviously also precocious, a young warrior at age 7, just like Cuchulainn was. I wonder whether there was any element there of, I will put these Geisa upon him, knowing it'll cause trouble, because I don't want to end up being eclipsed by my own son. Because this is a man who's dedicated his whole life, like Achilles, his whole life just to one thing, which is achieving lasting glory, And I wonder if there was some intention there, or if it was just I'll give you some manly Geisa to live up to, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, The Hollywood version would be the latter,
Right.
but
right.
knowing actual medieval literature, it's probably the former.
A little bit of jealousy, a little bit of competitiveness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So if it stars Brad Pitt, then it's probably going
Right.
to be
It's just a pure tragedy. It's not conniving.
Yeah.
Right.
If it stars Joe Pesci as Caholen, Short Caholen. If it stars Joe Pesci as Short Caholen, it's probably the former. Yeah.
Nice. That was a beautiful telling, Brandon. That's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that was a whole nother episode's worth.
Yeah.
So, listener, may it not be said that we do not deliver on our promises. We have given you more content than ever before, and we're still not done.
Yeah.
The next episode after this will be our interview with Dr. Gillian Kenny, who will talk to us about women and magic in medieval Ireland.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Yeah. Will she cover like hot topics, like 12 things to do with your sleeping potion, or like
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
5 ways to get out of a castle with your man?
I'll ask her.
Yeah.
I'll
Get a
ask
list
her.
of a lot of
Yeah.
And I'll just say that version Brendan was reading there, the Kinsella version of the Toyne, that is the one that I recommended earlier. And if you haven't read it, please do. Amazing story, really great English translation, and there's so many moving moments like that. It's a powerful tale. Yeah.
Andre, thanks for being on the show once again.
Absolutely.
I'm afraid we have to part our ways here.
Right.
Finally.
We will leave the feasting hall and...
In true epic fashion, should we let the listeners know how the story ends, how we die? There has to be a tragic ending.
I assumed we were going to spear fight now. We had
now
black
we have
beer,
to fight
so...
each other. We have to fight each other. We don't
I will never
want
stand
to.
aside for you.
We don't want to, but we have to for honor. And we kill each other. Yeah.
Brendan is doing the feat of the great podcast editing right now. I'm doing the feat of lifting a large jug of beer.
I will do the fade out feat. I will make your voice quiet to dishonor you.
No.
Okay. Well, yes. All right. Thank you, Andre.
Absolutely.
Last time, plug your book.
If anyone out there loves to color or wants to buy a holiday gift for someone who loves to color, we just released a beautiful coloring book. It is designed for grown-ups, but suitable for all ages. The name is Introvert Dreams, and it tells a beautiful story through pictures and words, 90 colorable images. Takes you on a journey through a beautiful inner dream world. Introvert Dreams, it's available on Amazon.com.
Yeah, check it out. And if you like this series, if you're liking this series, because we're still not done, let us know. Write us in at deadideaspod@gmail.com, or find us on social media at deadideaspod, or check us out at our website, deadideas.net. And if there's a dead idea you'd like us to explore, we want to hear about it, so let us know. Thank you, everybody. I'm BT Newberg, and this is Dead Ideas. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. Next week, we will be interviewing Dr. Gillian Kenny of Trinity College in Dublin about the position of women in medieval Ireland. This is our first ever interview, and Gillian was fun and quirky and awesome, so be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to support us on Patreon. Remember, you can put a gesh on us. So that is a fun opportunity that you should not pass up. For $5 a month, you can also get your portrait drawn in the time period and culture of your choosing. We just got a new portrait up. John Weiss as 10th century Arab astronomer with astrolabe of Nostalus. John is an astronomer himself, and the astrolabe of Nostalus is the oldest surviving astrolabe in the world. So that was a lot of fun to draw. And you can get your portrait drawn too at www.patreon.com/deadideaspod. All right, everybody, we will see you next week.